Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 124 of the On-Air Advocate. We're at the On-Air Advocate. We look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On-Air Advocate. And I am super excited if you are taking time out this early morning on Tuesday to check us out, or if you are catching this on the replay. Well, as always, if you think any of the content that we are discussing here today on the On-Air Advocate could be relevant or helpful for anyone in your circle, please hit the share button and share the love with others. So as you guys know, we have been in a full focus series the whole month of August as we focused on autism acceptance and awareness. And today I'm excited to have my friend Sara Nowacki back for part 2 of getting ready for takeoff. Sara is from Autism Friendly Travels, and so she is going to be really helping us navigate through this whole journey and has some other exciting news to tell us about some new facilities that are now, they're autism certified, right?
Correct, yes.
All right, so Sara, if people didn't check out the last episode, can you just give them a little snapshot about you?
Well, I own Autism Friendly Vacations, and I customize vacations for families that have a member on the spectrum. So I work with families, get to know them, and then find out what their needs are to plan vacations for the entire family. So making sure that the needs of the child with autism are met, and then the needs of the rest of the family are met as well. I work with resorts, cruise lines, hotels that are certified autism centers that cater to families that have a member on the spectrum that meet those special needs for them.
Very good. And I mean, last time Sara's actually been on, this is her third time on the show because we were on last year. And I mean, since last year, I can't believe when I listened to that segment, how much things have grown with the new autism certified centers and in airports and different places, you know, new sensory areas and that sort of thing. Have you seen just like a big boom in the last year? You know, from my perspective, I've seen a pretty big boom.
Yes, a lot of places in the U.S. are now becoming certified autism centers. The awareness has just grown, and the places the travel industry has really recognized the need for this. And I'm really excited. The first certified autism center in the Midwest has just come online, and for those of us in the Midwest and Milwaukee area, this is really exciting. The Mall of America and the Nickelodeon Universe, which is the theme park in the middle of the big mall, have just become certified autism centers. So that's a great travel destination.
Because I know our last episode, we really kind of dug into that a little bit deeper, but a short snapshot of what does that mean to be an autism certified center? Like, what is the criteria?
Well, what it means is that 80% of the staff, to begin with, is trained to work with children on the spectrum. All of the rides at the Nickelodeon Universe, I'll say it that way, and there are listed, I'll say it this way, or how do I want to say, are listed to show how they rank on the spectrum. So if a child is sensitive to noise, for example, it'll show where it falls on the spectrum, like a roller coaster or a water ride. So that way a parent knows exactly what to expect from that ride, and to make that informed decision whether or not, that might not be a good ride for their child, or, it's something that their child would enjoy.
Okay, so everything has ratings. So, and is this something that's online that parents can get now? Like, they can look at all of the details of the inside of the mall and the amusement park?
It's online, and it will be also available at guest services there. Okay. So we also have quiet centers there. As I said, anybody there, just about anybody at the mall can help them find those. So there's just, resources there for families, which is just a great option for them.
Right, and when we're talking about 80% of the staff, that's pretty amazing.
Exactly.
Is trained, and so that is great. So, and I know that our last segment, which is why we wanted to do a second segment, you know, after we get out, right, we may take, if we're from a different area, a plane, right, to the Mall of America or to some of these autism friendly amusement parks and whatnot throughout the United States, or even maybe outside of the United States. And so we need to be prepared for takeoff. And I know there are some cool things that some airlines do and that you work with, but you kind of have a rundown list for parents. And I just love it because when you plan and you prepare and you have your checklist, you know, your vacation is going to go so much smoother and seamlessly. So I will let you kind of take that away for takeoff.
Yeah, one of the biggest hurdles that families have is flying. You know, they're afraid that their child is going to, you know, have that meltdown at the airport or on the plane, or, you know, just not going to get on the plane. So that's one of the biggest concerns that they have. So there's a couple of things that we can do to, you know, ensure that that's not going to happen. One of the programs that is around is called Wings for Autism. There are a couple different programs that have different names, but they're similar in nature to that. Excuse me. In the Milwaukee area, there's a program called SOAR that the Wisconsin or the Southeast Wisconsin Autism Society puts out. They're not going to be having one until 2020. I will say that because I just contacted them about that. But once I do find out the dates for that, I will let you know, because I'm going to be a part of that. So I will, you know, keep the group informed on those dates. But I know they do both of the programs. They work pretty much the same, where we do a practice run that, you know, children go check in. Our families do, I should say, check in. They go through security with TSA. They go through the scanners. They put their, you know, their backpacks through, you know, the scanners. They go through the you know, the people scanners, I'll say it that way. They go to the check-in gates at the front. They board the plane. They don't take off, but, you know, they get their snacks, their beverages, and then they get off the plane. They go get their bags. Usually there's a gift for them afterwards. You know, so it's a real, you know, they practice and everything, you know, to kind of see that, you know, will their child, you know, get on the plane? Will they wait for the plane? You know, that whole thing. You know, so
that lowers, Sarah, so much anxiety.
Exactly. In both the parents and
yeah, I mean, it definitely brings that down, because they're getting to walk through it in a non what would be the noisy environment, where it's more contained. So while they're going through it, they're having time to process, see the steps, see where there might be hiccups, you know, along the way in that travel. So, I mean, I just think that's so awesome that the airlines do that. I mean,
exactly. And like last year, I was fortunate enough to be a volunteer for the SOAR program. So the volunteers get paired with a family. So, you know, it was great to be able to walk in the family's footsteps with them. And, you know, the family that I was with, the young girl didn't want to do any of the escalators. So, you know, we made sure we found out where all the elevators were, you know, so when they do fly the next time, now they know where those elevators are. So they're all prepared for that. And they don't have to worry about that. And, you know, so the daughter now knows exactly what to expect. You know, it was complete success for all the families. So it was just very rewarding to see. And like I said, and these families were all, it was just one big sigh of relief, because, you know, spending money on airline travel can be expensive, and, you know, you don't want to invest that money and then your child is refusing to fly. So we don't want that to happen.
Right. No, I think
so
is it one airline, or is there multiple airlines that provide it? I know Southwest right? Was it on Southwest?
Southwest and Delta did this time, were the ones that participated this time. It's coordinated through the TSA, and it's based on, you know, flight ability or availability. So
So it could be any airline.
It could be, yes.
Okay. That sometimes puts it on. It just depends. They just pick
Right.
the availability for that day.
Exactly. So some places I looked, for Autism has got some training sessions, I'll say, or some events coming up. In May 11th, Allentown, Pennsylvania has one. May 4th, and
when we're done.
I will, yes.
Great.
May 4th, and I'm going to maybe pronounce this wrong, Chemung, New York. And then May 18th, Appleton, Wisconsin, Greensville, South Carolina, and Newark, New Jersey has one.
Oh, wow. So there's
May 18th is a big day.
And that's on the 18th. There's a couple of them going on.
Right.
And then on the 11th and the 4th, awesome. Yeah, if we can get those posted with the areas.
Yeah, I'll post a link to that.
That's great. That's absolutely great. So, once they go through that process and they've walked through it with mom and dad, they've gotten on the plane, they see how is going to be their entrance, their exit, how they're doing it. What do you think the next steps are that are the most important in this preparation for takeoff?
Well, I think then, it's time to talk about, taking that vacation. I think at that point, talking to the child and seeing, hopefully that this is something, knowing that it went well. I think, before too much time goes by, when that's still fresh in their mind that it was a success.
Right.
Getting on that plane and flying well, it's still a good memory, because oftentimes if you wait too long, you go, oh, remember, 2, 3, even longer years, it's the longer longer away it is, that
right.
fear can come back.
Right. So if you do participate in one of these, I would say it should be within a 6-month perimeter of time that you're going to be traveling.
Exactly.
Because I think that would be the freshest in their mind. Not things at the airport you're going to probably won't be re-renovated or changed within that 6 months or 3 months.
Exactly. So, when you are, getting ready to fly, I think, one of the things is then when you, preparing your child, reminding them, that, oh, remember when we did go to the airport, this is what we're going to do again. But this time, the plane is actually going to fly. We're going to go someplace.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that opportunity to do an event like Wings for Autism, do something, prepare them, show them, read to them a social story, books, letting them kind of see what's going to happen. Even, YouTube videos, anything like that, so that they kind of get that idea of what is going to happen.
Okay.
Prepare them as best as possible.
Right. And then, I feel like kind of some of the things that you mentioned, which you can, go into next, but all of the preparation around, after the flight and the trip is booked and all of that, keeping that everything organized and everything you're doing, planning and preparing them for what the next step is, I think is essential, because so much anxiety can be driven from the unknown. So even, what are we packing? What does our luggage look like? What are we putting in, right? I mean, would you say that that's kind of the next thing for them?
Exactly. And that's, one of the biggest keys is that, letting, having the child, pick a couple, small toys that are their favorites, or a blanket or something that is one of their favorite things, to their security, item, whatever it is, if it's a stuffed animal or a toy, blanket, whatever it is, that, their comfy item.
Right.
A special snack, whatever it is that makes them happy.
Mm-hmm. And I'd probably say within that packing, would you advise, I always think that it's better to lean on the side of caution, even if your child that may have, depending on the severity of them, on the spectrum, whatnot, even if sound isn't an enormous issue for them, let's say they have, a better tolerance, to that. I personally would still pack a set of headphones, music headphones for listening to a show on an iPad, regular headphones, just in case, because once you're on the flight, it's not like you can be like, hey, I'm going to run to the store and buy some.
Exactly. And the same thing, making sure that you have, too much to do for your child, whether it's, coloring books, whatever it is that keeps them occupied, like you said, the headphones, that snacks. I know that we always, as a mom, I always used to pack a special snack bag of just things that my sons normally wouldn't get. Special things, maybe even themed things if I could find them. If we'd go to Disney World, I'd find some Disney snacks that were special, Disney fruit snacks or whatever it was. And, they couldn't get those till they got on the plane, that sort of thing. So it was just something that was, special for them for that flight that they knew was happy, that they didn't get. So
the incentive of bribery, it always, it works a little.
It does, anything that gets you through it. So
making sure, now I know that we're preparing for the flight. Obviously, we're going to throw down all the things from TSA and these different organizations that provide some of the on-flight experiences. I think within there, and then obviously we talked about inside of the airport, kind of laying out your map, packing your essentials. But what about, I think we missed, I'm just chatting a little bit about, how do you go through asking for priority boarding? How do you do that? I see that on your list.
One of the things is I call the airlines ahead of time and make sure that you get that. And, explain that you have a child that has some special abilities and ask that. Then when you do check in at the airport, ask for it again, make sure that it's on there. And then once you get up to the gate, once again, make sure that that is, so that everybody gets that information. Because sometimes it does get lost in translation between people if it doesn't get noted by somebody. But just making sure that that gets aware. So you can get on that plane, with your child, ahead of time so that you're not, in that long line of people getting in there and that crush of people.
Now, when you're booking your flight, can't you ask for a priority then on your plane ticket? I mean, is that something you can ask for, letting them know whether it's other health conditions, your child's on the spectrum?
Yes, and I do that for all of my guests, my families, but then I still do call and make a note on that.
Oh, okay. So the follow-up.
But then, right, and then I do just, with my families, I do just say, once you get to the gate, just make sure that it does. Because they're dealing with, 300 people at a time.
Right.
So just to make sure that they get that, because, they've got 300 people and they may have somebody that's might be angry. Who knows what's going on that they're dealing with also. So just to say, hey, just so we've requested priority boarding. Is there a place that we should go, once you do the, call for boarding?
Okay.
Give them a heads up. It doesn't hurt to
do that. Okay.
To do that.
All of that, kind of walking through the airport, making your map of even the escalators, elevators, how you're going to get
right
from the beginning of the doors of parking in the parking structure all the way till you leave. Making sure that you pack those essentials. And then on the flight, I mean, I think that we talked about that a little bit, just making sure that you have that bag packed.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the one thing, is make sure you've got everything. Make sure that you also have some things that are not electronic that you can use. If your son or daughter, really, relies on that iPad heavily, just be aware that during, takeoff and landing, they aren't going to be able to use an iPad.
Right. And also what I encountered on my last flight this month is that there was only one flight out of 4 flights that had a plug for me to plug in my phone.
Exactly. It's very uncommon yet. It's not common yet to get, so make sure you have a charger with you.
Right. Well, the backup, it would have to be a backup pack that's already charged.
Right.
Because there is no source that's there. And
Exactly.
so something I was like, oh, so even though I wasn't using the internet, I wanted to edit photos and do different things that way. My battery kept running low because obviously you're using it for hours and hours and hours. So I would just say those backup battery packs are real important, especially if they do rely on an iPad.
An iPad with video. Yeah, that takes up a lot of
Juice.
Exactly. So,
Right.
and the one last thing that I just wanted to say, or unless you had other questions, is TSA has a program called TSA Cares, where they can, you can call them 72 hours in advance, and they can help with the screening of a child with some special abilities, give them, that heads up, and they can work with you, let them know what you need.
Okay.
It does not allow, they still have to be screened and go through screening. It does not circumvent that,
Okay.
but they can help work with you to, find some other, I'll say, help with that.
As they go through.
Exactly. So if they're afraid to, walk through the screener, perhaps, they can find an alternative solution to that or something like that.
Okay.
So.
That is perfect. So kind of in wrap up, if you're just tuning in a little bit later when we started, preparing for takeoff, we're going to drop below all the different organizations that do provide that through the airports that kind of join in with all the different airlines to provide a day where you can actually board the plane, walk through security, do all of the steps so you're being proactive that way. Sarah was just talking about TSA Cares, which is calling 42 hours in advance to try to get a little bit of help and aid as you're going through the security scanner, so it might not be quite as shocking, and invasive for the kiddos. Asking for priority boarding, asking for that when you book your flight, right? So your flight, as well as reminders, and just like all of us in this in this community, is you follow up to follow up to follow up to follow up, even though you shouldn't have to follow up. Before you arrive at the airport, just making sure that you have kind of all your ducks in a row and you've mapped out everything, packing the essentials, all the stuff that you need, and then some, and extra battery backup for iPads, things like that. And then getting on the plane and making sure you have those extra, like we talked about, like headphones and things like that, that you maybe, if you don't need them now, you might need them then. So why not be proactive and just pack them with you? So did I cover everything?
Exactly. Now I'm going to just put a real quick plug in for Autism Friendly Vacations. I will say this is one of my jobs that I do is that I take care of most of the stuff. I mean, I take care with the airlines, TSA, those sorts of things. I contact them for you. So that's just one less thing off of your plate if you're traveling to relieve moms. Because I want to say it's typically moms, the one doing all the calling and the planning, anxiety level, that she can focus on, the packing and that sort of thing. I don't do the packing, I'll say that, but, I make those announcements.
Right, and you can give reminders. And, as we talked about last time, if people caught part one of this, how essential it is and what a great tool it is to have someone like yourself, that this is what you specialize in. When you're calling to say, hey, we want to go on a trip, where are all the autism friendly amusement parks? Where are the places? Who does it seem like you get the most 5 stars from? Where do most parents come back and say they had an amazing experience from? And you are able to kind of lend into that, as well as knowing the ins and outs. So that is truly the benefit, especially when we have so much on our plate already, to have someone like yourself do it.
Exactly. So, and I'm going to be going in, if you check out my blog today, it's going up, it's going to go more in depth on what we're talking about today. So with tying into this a little bit, and then my next blog is going to be talking about what to take on the airplane, what to pack, some tips and suggestions, especially some non-electronic things for during that takeoff and landing times, because that can be a real struggle for some some kiddos when they can't have their iPad, or, what are they going to do at that point, when it's that landing time, and, the ear pressure and that sort of thing also. So.
Right. No, and that kind of takes their mind off it. So that is great. Are you able to drop the blog link below as well?
I sure am.
You can find it real easily right below this live.
I sure will.
All right. Awesome. Okay. So we are going to post all of Sarah's information, her general information below, also some of the Facebook pages and whatnot that you can go to. I know Sarah has a Facebook support group, kind of, not a support group, but a community.
A travel group for those who want to travel. Yes. Want some information, tips and stuff. Yes.
Yeah, having tips and the info and the in and the now of all the new things going on. So we'll also post that. So if you guys want to hop over to that group, you can. But I thank you, Sarah, for your dedication to this, because it's like individuals like you that decide to go into a niche and to specialize in things that really help and aid in making so many of our lives much easier as we decide to head on out.
Well, thanks for all that you do in the community and with everything that, promoting this and promoting everything that you do also.
All right. Thank you so much. So with that, I thank you guys for spending about the last half an hour with us this morning. If you missed it before, I hope that wherever you are, there's sunshine. We do not have it here, but it's got to come soon, Sarah, right? I mean,
it's got to
Wisconsin, and it's got to get warm. I mean, by June.
Let's hope so.
Or else we're all going to be calling you because we're leaving. And we're going
Exactly. I know. After Saturday, I was ready to leave, I'll tell you.
I know. Plane. So with that, thank you guys all for watching today. If you guys will hop on over to www.onairadvocate.com, you will find all of our resources and services right there. Also, we have a new newsletter that is out. It's coming out for May, but we had one for last month. So make sure that you log on to the website and fill that in so that you get the newsletter every month. And also, if you head over to the community, I got some hot new news today about something new that's coming tomorrow. So if you have a moment today, hop over to the On Air Advocate community. And with that, you all have a fabulous Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.